Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and in today's video I'd like to talk to you a little bit about audiobooks. More specifically, the 10 sources that I have found for audiobooks. Some of them are high-tech, some are low-tech, but I utilize all of them in one way or another depending on where I can find a book and how I can access it and what I'm doing at the time. So I thought it would be fun to share that with you. Now eventually I want to get around to doing a video and talk about how I read, how I incorporate the amount of books that I do into my life, because I really am, for all intents and purposes, a slow reader. I am an auditory reader. I look at a book and I say it out loud in my head, which means that for me print reading can be slower. So how I'm able then to get as many books consumed in a year as I do, I make up the difference in audiobooks. And I used to be a lot slower consuming those when all I had were CDs. But now, with so many forms of technology opening up to me and the ability to speed up a book if I want to, since I have been tracking my reading since the beginning of 2015 up to now, early October of 2019, I have read and rated about 1,100 books, and at least half or more of those have been audio. So that makes 500 or more books that I would not have consumed if I hadn't been able to get them on audio. So that is why I love having a lot of different sources for audio, and why I thought it might be fun to tell you about all the places where I find them. Because if you're like me and you enjoy audiobooks, there might be some of these resources that you don't know about, and you might find that you have access to some of these, and you might find that you don't have access to all of them. But I thought it would be a fun discussion just to talk about them. So the first four I want to talk about are all library resources. Now these are all going to be resources where you can access not only audiobooks but ebooks, sometimes magazines, sometimes music, comics, graphic novels, all of that kind of stuff, even videos, movies, and TV shows. So the first one that probably most all of you are familiar with is Overdrive. That is also the same as Libby. Now Overdrive was the original website, and then later they brought in the Libby app, which I think is supposed to be a little more user-friendly than Overdrive, but I had already learned how to use Overdrive before Libby came along, so I did download it, but I had a hard time figuring Libby out because I was already using Overdrive. I think if you start with Libby, it will be easier to navigate than Overdrive. But either way, it gives you access to the same catalog. The thing that I find that is a drawback with Overdrive and Libby is that there is a waiting list for things. If you find an audiobook or an ebook that you want to check out and already a few people are in line ahead of you, it's the same as if you had to wait on a copy of a book at the library. You get in line and you wait. Unlike my favorite site, which is an app called Hoopla. And Hoopla is also provided through our library system, and not every library system is going to have it. And if you don't know if your library has it or not, then definitely you should ask. Because with Hoopla, you are allowed a certain number of borrows every month, and there's no waiting. If it's available right then, the minute you want it. And that's fantastic. Now, in our library system, we can have 10 borrows per month. And on Hoopla, you can get not only audiobooks and ebooks, but they have comics and graphic novels. They have movies and music, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love Hoopla. I have heard in some places they have 20 or more borrows per month, and then someone else was telling me they have 8. So it really just depends on your library and what they want to provide and what they have the funds to provide, but it's a fantastic resource if you can get it. Then the other two are ones that may not be as familiar to you. You may recognize the company, but the actual app that you get on your phone, your library may or may not subscribe to it. One of them is Access 360. That is run by the Baker and Taylor Company. You might recognize the name Baker and Taylor because for a long time they have been a provider of library books to libraries. And so this is their app. The catalog that I have access to is not huge, but I have found books there that I have not been able to find on any of the other sources. And the same is for the fourth one, which is RB Digital. That stands for Recorded Books Digital. Now, Recorded Books has been around for years, and I know they have a lot of audiobooks that are not on their site, but maybe they have already given those rights over to Audible, because I know that I have listened to a lot of books on Audible that were originally recorded books. So I don't know exactly how all that works, but I have done a thorough search of all the audiobooks that I have access to on RB Digital, and I have found maybe 10 or 20 that I am definitely interested in that I can't find on any of the other sources for free. Also, RB Digital has magazines, and that can be a really handy thing to do. Now, each library can subscribe to whatever portions that they want for any one of these sites. For instance, in my county, one of the larger libraries has RB Digital, but they only subscribe to the magazine portion. And in looking at our library catalog, I knew that there had to be a library in our county that had access to audiobooks, because I had seen one listed that I was interested in. So I called an old librarian friend who used to have a column in the newspaper. He was working at the time at one of the other libraries in another town, and I said, "Hey, what libraries offer RB Digital?" And he told me, and I was like, "Oh, great, okay." It turned out it was one of the very small libraries in our county, and I would have never thought. And so all I had to do to access all of the RB Digital catalog was to go to their city's website and then access RB Digital through their city website. In our county, there's, I don't even know how many towns. Each town has its own library except my own, and we have a county co-op. So with one library card, we can check out a book from any library in our county, and it's great. And if you want a book from a library that's across the county, we have a truck that makes the round to all the libraries every weekday. So it only takes a day or two to get a library book from across the county to your closest library, and then you go there and check it out. We also have books by mail and all of that. So we have some wonderful library resources in my county here in Central Florida, and it's great. And so by living in this county, I have access to all 4 of those library sites. Now, I don't know if there are any other library apps that people have access to in other parts of the country or other parts of the state even. If you know of any that I have not mentioned already, let me know. I will find out if my library can access those too. I love having a lot of different options for checking out audiobooks and ebooks and everything from the library system. Now, there are 3 sources for paid subscriptions to audiobooks that you can access through your computer, your phone, tablets, or whatever. Most of you know about Audible. For one price per month, you can get 1 credit a month, which is good for any audiobook. Then they also have the Audible Escape package, and if you're already a subscriber for the 1 or 2 credits a month, then for like $6, you can have access to everything they have included in the Audible Escape package, which all have some kind of romance element. There are 41 different categories within the romance genre, and so that's a lot of books that you have access to. Then if you don't subscribe to the 1 or 2 credits per month, you can just get the Audible Escape package, but it's like $12 a month instead of $6. So there's some different options. And one option I just found out about, because sometimes I don't know what I want to buy. In fact, I've been a subscriber to Audible for about 2 years now, and I'm kind of thinking that I might want to end my monthly subscription and just get the Audible Escape package. But they offer you an option to put your account on hold for 3 months. So I just did that, and now I am trying a free 1-month trial of Scribd. So Scribd is the other one that's been getting a lot of buzz lately, and it's a little bit different because you don't buy the audiobooks on Scribd. You pay a subscription fee, which is actually less than the Audible subscription fee, and then you have access to a certain number of Scribd audiobooks or ebooks or whatever per month. I'm in the free trial period right now, which I think is unlimited. Once I start paying, if I decide to keep paying, which I probably will do for a month or 2 just to kind of get a feel for how it works, then I think you're a little more limited in how many you can access per month, but I'm not really sure. So those are 2 of the paid ones, and then one that you don't hear much about, but I have tried it. It's called audiobooks.com. The thing I love about audiobooks.com is they have a huge number of free audiobooks that are in the public domain. If you have an account with them, you are able to have access to those free audiobooks that are in the public domain. So I was able to put quite a few of those in my library during my free trial subscription. I also did go ahead and keep it for a couple of months so that I could just kind of try it out. The thing I thought was difficult about audiobooks.com is it wasn't really clear on how much each audiobook would cost if you just wanted to purchase it. And I'm still not sure. I searched around and I could never really figure out, you know, if one book was more expensive than the other one. Like on Audible, if you're trying to decide what you want to use your credit for, well, you've spent about $15 on your month credit, and it doesn't make sense to buy an audiobook with that credit that would cost you less than that if you just outright bought it. It makes a lot more sense to buy an audiobook that would cost you $20 or $25 if you were going to purchase it. But with audiobooks.com, it wasn't really clear how much each audiobook would cost you if you just wanted to purchase it. So I don't know, I didn't explore it a whole lot, but I was able to keep in my library all of the free classics and older books that I got from them. I have not downloaded all of them, so I hope they're still there, but the ones that I did download, I am able to still have and access, and so that made it worth having the subscription for a little while, just so that I could get some of those older books that I haven't been able to get free anywhere else. So that makes 7 different sources of electronic audiobooks. And before I go too old school, there's one kind of in-between source that is a little higher technology, but not completely old school, and that is a Playaway. A Playaway is a little MP3 player that contains one audiobook, and it's so handy. All you need to do is plug in a set of headphones or earbuds, and you can pop it in your pocket and you can go. There's a panel here for the power button, the play and pause. You can skip ahead or back up tracks. You can raise or lower the volume. On some of these you're able to speed it up, much like you can do an electronic audiobook, but not all of them have the feature that you can speed up. And then another feature that I didn't even know about, I had listened to probably dozens of these before I got one from the library, and it came with a lanyard, and I never realized that on the end of most of these Playaways is a little tab where you can push a ribbon or something under it, and you can attach it to a lanyard. So right now the fastest thing I could find that would go under it was a twisty tie, because my actual lanyards that I have have hooks that are too big to go in this one. So just to show you, I threaded a twisty tie through the little tab here, and then I can take that bread tie, or whatever you want to call it, and attach it to a lanyard, and then here I go. I've got an audiobook. If I don't have a pocket, then I can just hang it around my neck and go about my day doing whatever I want to do. I've got my earbuds, and there I go. So these are really handy. There are, you know, a limited number of audiobooks that are available on Playaway, but always when I am on the library catalog looking for a particular book, I would pick this over a CD because it's a little more mobile. I enjoy having these. They're so lightweight. They are not heavy to carry around in your pocket. And the only drawback I would say, though, is that you can't hear it unless you have earbuds. So if you're listening to one and your earbuds go out and you don't have a backup pair, then you're kind of stuck. It does also take a AAA battery. Sometimes the library will provide one of those. Sometimes there'll be one in there when you check it out, but it's always good to have some on hand. They do usually come in a case like this, and sometimes there will be a battery up here, and usually, though, you have to provide your own. So that is a really handy little tool. Now, those came out maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and when our library first got those, they told me that each one cost about $100. So if you're going to check one of those out from the library, make sure you know what the replacement cost is, make sure you don't lose it, and make sure you don't break it, because I would sure hate for you to be out $100 just because you want to listen to one audiobook. So now I've got 2 other sources, and they're completely old school, but I love them both. One, of course, is the good old CDs. I get these from our library. Right now I am currently listening to War Storm by Victoria Aveyard so that I can finish up this series this year, and I love having CDs. I have a CD player in my car. Our cars range from 2000 to 2005, so in all of our cars we still have CD players, and I love having them. I also keep one of these on my kitchen counter. This is not that old. They go out periodically. They don't last forever. I get them at Walmart for like 20 bucks, and I love to get the ones that have a place to put batteries, because here in Florida, you know, we have stormy weather sometimes and the power might go out. So it's great to be able to have this where I can put batteries in it and not only listen to the radio, but I can listen to a CD. And I love to listen to audiobooks on my kitchen counter when I'm doing housework in the kitchen, like cooking or washing dishes or whatever. Then there's one more. Can you guess what it is? I don't keep this on the kitchen counter. I keep this tucked away under my desk. I haven't used this in quite a while, but I love having it. I have a lot of books on cassette. I miss my 97 Ford Explorer that I used to have before my 2005 Ford Explorer. I loved being able to listen to cassettes in the car. I've listened to The Giver multiple times. But you can find these easily at library book sales. I love to have some of these classics around that I've listened to before. They're just great. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on audio cassette. I have some Agatha Christie on abridged audio, and I love having those. There are a couple of the libraries in our county that still have cassettes for checkout. I have been able to find some books on cassette that I have not found in any other form of media, and I love being able to get those, and I love the fact that I still have a boombox that I can listen to them on. Now, I didn't have one for a little while. I got this one a couple years ago when our church disbanded that we used to go to, and they were just getting rid of stuff, and this was sitting around, and I said, ooh, can I have that? Because at the time I didn't have a working cassette player, and I love having it. And we also have a 1997 motorhome, and it has a radio and a cassette deck. So when we're traveling, this is our only mode of playing audiobooks when we're driving, and I love having these. I think especially it's great when you're in the motorhome because it's so noisy and there's so much going on. I think it's better to have a book that I've heard before, just to have something going in the background, because when you're traveling you never know what the radio stations are going to be like. You never know if you're going to be able to find anything that you want to hear. So it's great to have some audiobooks. So whatever you have available to you, make use of it. If you don't have any of this old school technology, that's okay. But if you do, utilize it. I have no shame in the fact that I love to listen to audiobooks in whatever form or fashion that I can get them in. And books like this you can get for a song at a thrift store or a library book sale, and it's a great way to add some audiobooks to your listening library. So those are my 10 sources of audiobooks. If you know of any other sources of audiobooks that I have not mentioned in this video, please let me know down in the comments. And if you have used any of these sources and you like them or you hate them, let's chat about it in the comments. I love to chat about books, audiobooks. I just love to chat with you. So I thought this would be a fun subject to talk about, because in another video I want to talk to you about how I actually incorporate audiobooks into my life, where I listen to audiobooks and what I'm doing when I'm listening, and that's kind of a whole different video. So that will be coming up pretty soon. And if you don't listen to audiobooks and you've never tried some of these, give them a try. If you don't want to, that's okay. But if you don't want to, you probably haven't made it this far into this video. But anyway, I know audiobooks aren't for everybody, but like I said, this has opened up a whole new world to me. And I really only discovered audiobooks about 15 years ago, and it's just been great. So let's chat about it in the comments. That's all I have for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.